There's a huge paradox happening right now. We have these amazing medical technologies, miracle drugs, brilliant surgeons. I mean, we can do incredible things. And yet, chronic illnesses, things like diabetes, autoimmune disorders, burnout, they're absolutely skyrocketing. It kind of makes you wonder, are we missing something? Something really fundamental about what it means to be sick and what it takes to be well?
So here's how we're going to try and make sense of this. We're going to walk through a really new framework. First, we'll challenge the way we usually think about getting sick. Then we'll dive into the two core forces that are always at play in our health. We'll see what happens when that balance gets tipped, figure out how to bring it all back into harmony, and then finally, we'll look at how our illnesses can actually become our greatest teachers. All right, let's just dive right in at the deep end by asking a question that really gets to the heart of how we see our own bodies and our health.
I mean, this is the big question, right? So much of our medicine is built on this fight metaphor. We attack germs, we battle cancer, we destroy rogue cells. And look, that approach has saved millions and millions of lives. But it just doesn't seem to explain the explosion of these modern, long-term conditions. So what if the fight is only part of the story? Well, this is where a different perspective comes in. It's called lifestyleopathy, and it was developed by Dr. Jawad Alzeer. It offers a totally different way of looking at things. The idea is that illness isn't just some enemy that invaded or a broken part inside you. Instead, it's a signal, a sign that your body's entire system has lost its balance and is just overwhelmed by disorder.
So, what is this balance exactly? Well, lifestyleopathy says our health is basically this constant dance between two fundamental opposing forces.
Okay, so on one side, you've got what's called potential energy. This is the force of order, of structure, of resilience. It's what our body uses to repair itself, what gives us that feeling of mental clarity, and what keeps our immune system stable. And then on the other side, you've got entropy. That's the natural pull towards disorder, chaos, and breakdown. It's a fundamental law of the universe. And here's the key. The goal isn't to get rid of entropy. You can't. The goal is to keep a healthy, powerful balance between the two. So at the end of the day, a healthy system isn't one that never has problems. Not at all. It's a system that has enough potential energy, enough order and resilience to handle all the chaos that life naturally throws at it. Illness is simply what happens when that balance tips, and entropy starts to win.
So what does that actually look like? What does it feel like when chaos starts to take over? According to this idea, our body tends to slip into one of two predictable states of imbalance.
First up, you've got what's called the fright mode. Think of this like the classic fight or flight response, but it's gone haywire. The body is on constant high alert, just scattering its energy in every direction with no real focus. It's like an army that's panicking. There's way too much energy and it's being wasted everywhere. You can see this play out in conditions where the body is just doing too much. In autoimmune diseases, for example, the immune system gets confused and starts attacking healthy parts of the body. With anxiety or PTSD, the nervous system is stuck in overdrive, constantly scanning for threats that aren't even there. All that energy is scattered, and it becomes destructive. Now, the total opposite of all that overactivation is collapse. This is the flight mode. It's where the system's energy reserves are just so drained, so depleted, that its defenses basically retreat and go quiet. In this state, the system is just too weak to put up a good fight. Immune surveillance can fail, which might allow cancerous cells to grow without being checked, or on a psychological level, the energy you need for motivation and clear thinking just evaporates, and that can lead to things like depression or chronic fatigue. It's a total absence of useful energy. It can be really powerful to just pause for a second and think about this for yourself. When you're not feeling 100%, does your energy feel more scattered, anxious, and revved up? Or does it feel more withdrawn, exhausted, and depleted? Okay, so this might all sound a bit heavy, but here's the really good news. This framework doesn't just describe the problem, it gives us a super clear path to healing. And it's not about waging war on your own body. It's about intentionally, step by step, restoring its natural order. The process itself is actually pretty straightforward. And it really is this simple, but also incredibly powerful. It's a two-step dance. Step 1, you have to reduce the load of chaos and disorder on your system. And step 2, you have to actively rebuild your reserves of order, structure, and resilience.
So reducing entropy is all about taking things away. It means removing the stuff that's constantly draining your system. We're talking about inflammatory processed foods, that chronic worry and psychological stress, or even just being in a chaotic, overstimulating environment. It's all about lightening the load.
Building potential energy, on the other hand, is an active investment. It's about adding things in. This means nourishing your body with real nutrient-packed food. It means moving with intention to build up your physical resilience. And this is huge. It means cultivating that psychological and spiritual energy that we get from purpose, from meaning, and from deep connection. And this right here brings us to what might be the biggest, most profound shift in perspective that this whole idea offers. Because if illness is really a signal of imbalance, well, then it can't be an enemy. It has to be a teacher. This is where we have to learn to listen. Your symptoms are not just random, unlucky things that happen to you. They are data. They're information. A diagnosis isn't a final verdict. It's an invitation to look deeper, to understand what your body is trying to tell you about your lifestyle, your environment, maybe even your sense of purpose. And when you look at it this way, specific conditions become these powerful lessons. A chronic disease might be screaming at us about our deep need for steady, daily rhythms. Autoimmunity shows us the incredible cost of scattered energy and unfocused energy. Cancer can be a stark warning about the danger of collapse and disconnection. Every single one has a unique message about what kind of balance we need to bring back into our lives. Ultimately, this framework is just incredibly empowering. It takes the experience of being sick from this passive, scary fight and turns it into an active, conscious process, a process of creating a stronger, more coherent, and more resilient foundation for your entire life. Healing becomes a rhythm of renewal. And that's really the key takeaway here. Restoring your balance doesn't mean you have to do this massive, overnight life overhaul. Healing starts with one small, intentional choice to tip the scales back, away from entropy and toward potential, away from disorder and toward order. So the question is, what's your one small choice going to be?